Hey, this is Lights, and you're watching Exclaim TV chat room. We asked you guys on some social medias to ask me some questions and use the hashtag LightsExclaim. And we got a bunch of really great questions, and I'm gonna look through some of them now and answer some of them as well. So let's see, let's start with, this is from Facebook, looks like. Carly McIsaac asks, first highlights. Hello. My question is in regards to the gear you used on this record, as opposed to Siberia and the listening. Did you use the same keyboards, guitars, and drums and recording equipment as the last two records, or was it all different stuff? I'm not the producer of my record, so I can't really speak to the DAWs we use, the recording programs. I think on listening we used a lot of Logic, and then the last two have been largely Pro Tools. But when it comes to gear, in terms of synths, there is quite a difference in, if you look at the listening and Little Machines. The listening was a lot of soft synths and a lot of plugins. Like I remember we used Omnisphere and Silent, and there's some just really great soft synth plugins that we were totally finding cool sounds on. But Little Machines was all about finding like a classic electronic sound, and that means finding real synths that were used in the 80s, 70s and 80s. So we used like a huge Moog, the Moog Little Fatty, and then the Moog Voyager. We used a Prophet, we used Juno 60, with Juno 6, we used this Little Bits guy, we used lots of really cool little details. We even used some iPad apps for synths that Drew actually beta tests on, so sounds that you'll never hear anywhere else. We had a really good time coming up with really creative sounds in this to create like this ambient atmosphere that feels pretty classic. And I think using hard synths, 90% hard synths, or the other 10% were VSTs, synth plugins that emulate hard synths. So it was all about grabbing that classic sound as opposed to listening, trying to get some kind of futuristic glitter. Next question, at JMCK Music, it sounds like this person does music, asks, what inspired you to add a new style / twist to your sound? The listening to Siberia to Little Machines. You just have to evolve with your tastes and what sounds move you in the time. And with Siberia, the sonics were very intentional in terms of doing something that was gritty and out there. With Little Machines, I wanted to capture really great songs. It was all about writing really, really killer songs and then adding the production later. So for example, Speeding. I remember when I wrote Speeding, I got a speeding ticket that day, and I was listening to this really heavy down-tempo electronic music with these fat beats and really lush pulsing pads, and that was what was making me speed. So when I got to the studio that day, I said, I know what we're writing about and I know the sound that we're going to use. So Speeding came about, made sure that the song was really there, and then built this really heavy, lush beat that explained the feeling of the song. And I think that, those are more the criteria that make a sound twist a little bit as opposed to something being really intentional. So yeah, I was inspired by the moments, I guess, that caused the songs.
Everyone here is ready to go. It's been a hard year with nothing to show. From down this road, it's only on we go.
Next, at None Creative asks, how did you overcome the writing block? What advice would you give to someone going through the same thing? I'm almost convinced that writing block is a result of not practicing writing and expecting an end product before you find yourself getting to the beginning of it. You can't look at the end product first and then be frustrated that you aren't there. You have to ease your way into it. And for me, it was that plus, I wanted this great, perfect record, but you can't look at it like that. You have to look at I'm going to write a song at a time, take it a day at a time, and keep practicing that songwriting muscle, because if you don't and you're a creative person, I think everybody is, it builds up and backs you up like a calcium deposit or something, and it calcifies and it gets hard and you have to chip away at it till you can free it up. And I think the only way to chip away at it is be creative. To be creative in different ways. If music's not inspiring you, do other things, and that's what I did on this record. I made myself write a poem every night, because lyrically you have to free those thoughts and just step away from music for a minute. Or whatever art that you're blocked in, try something else. Art all comes from the same place, and you just gotta work it. You gotta massage it till it all comes back in a whirl.
From down is low, it's only up we go, up we go.
John Foster on Facebook asked, is there a space that you need to be in when you are writing music? Perhaps a particular place or even a state of mind? Interestingly enough, on this record, I really discovered that the key to finding a place to write in was change of scenery. I had this little studio set up in the back of my apartment, hoping that I would just spend all kinds of time writing in there, and then I couldn't do it. It was the last place I wanted to write. It just felt cooped up. So I went to a lot of different places and got inspired. One of them was New Mexico. I went to New Mexico for a writing trip and was really inspired there. 3 of the songs that I wrote there ended up on the record. And that's a good chunk of the record, you know, that's almost a quarter. That's over a quarter of the record. So you gotta find new places and new feelings and new energies and kind of feed off that. And that affects your state of mind too. And you do need to be in different states of mind. If you're happy, you're gonna write a different song than when you're sad. Variation is key.
Let's get on another flight, maybe sail out to sea, kick it up and shake off this static.
Victoria Marina W, I know you from the East Coast, asks, what is your favorite thing to do when on tour on your off day? Starbucks, gaming, console gaming. I bring an Xbox on the road. So last major tour we did, I was playing Skyrim all the time, and it was horrible because we were in New Orleans and I should have been doing the Ghost tour, but I was playing Skyrim. Chilling out, doing some gaming, trying not to overexert myself because you want a little rest. I don't know, one of my favorite places to have an off day is in Amsterdam. You just cruise around, there's so much to see. Because when you're on tour, you go to so many places and you walk away and you never remember anything because you never get to see anything. It's just like go, 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 go. So when you have a day off, really just try to enjoy it because you're very fortunate to do that.
It's been a long time of this. Something has got to give.
Ryan Sondercook asks, what is her interest in Fan Expo? She's been there as a guest a few times. I've actually only been there as a guest once. I've been going as a fan to Fan Expo for years. I don't know if you've been to Fan Expo, but it's basically Canada's Comic-Con, and it's a con for gaming, sci-fi, horror, anime, comics. There's a little something for everyone there, and I love all those things. I love horror movies. I love all of these things. So you go and you meet people that you would never otherwise have a chance to meet. Like this last Fan Expo, I got to hang out with Michael Rooker, who plays Merle Dixon in Walking Dead, and he played Yondu in Guardians of the Galaxy. And then shop around, and I bought a blade from the anime Attack on Titan, which I love, and a bleach mask, and little trinkets. You can get like little pickled heads and stuff, and just cool things that you can't find anywhere else, and it's fun. But when I was there as a guest, we did a premiere listening party for Little Machines, and it was the first time people heard the record. And it was a super special experience for me. Go to Fan Expo.
Everyone here is ready to go. It's been a hard year with nothing to show. From down this road, it's only on we go, on we go.
David Levy asks, I want to know who does your hair. Seriously, do you get it done in Toronto? It says, does you get it done in Toronto? That's what it says. Those who get it done in Toronto. That's like Ali G. I do actually. I go to House of Lords on Yonge Street, and my hairdresser is named Young, turned on to me by a friend. She's amazing. I bring in pictures of fictional characters. This haircut was Lightning from Final Fantasy, and she looks at this fictional character and she gives it to me. It's perfect. Young's amazing. House of Lords.
Nothing gives easy, easy gives nothing.
Smoshy Gabby says, do you have any hidden talents? I can make awesome guacamole. I've had guac-offs with my sister, and I've won every single one. So guacamole right here. Not as good as Sneaks though.
I'm just trying to keep it going.
My Young Fizzy asks, what would you be doing if it wasn't music? I would say art, game design, comic illustrations, something artistic and fantastical so that it didn't have to really exist in the real world.
Always darker days before brighter ones.
At Sarcastic Coffee asks, if you could sum up Little Machines with one word, what would it be? Well, actually, Little Machines is the sum up for Little Machines. That's the reason it's called Little Machines. It's about throwing back to all the little synths we use to create the ambience, but also when you're young and you have this huge imaginations and you see beauty in everything and you have so much energy. I always refer to that as little machines. We were such little machines, and we should always live like that. We should always live in the moment and enjoying every bit of it. So that's why it's called Little Machines, and if I had to sum that up in one word, I'd probably say maquinitas. I think that's like Spanish for little machines, so there's one word of little machines. Maquinitas.
Everyone here is ready to go. It's been a hard year, and I only know from down is low. It's only up we go, up we go. So turn up the noise. Dress to the nines.